Risk of Rain 2 is quite literally my favorite game of all time. The monsters, the items, the progression, everything is just perfect. And they just ruined it. When this was announced like a year ago, a lot of people were worried that Gearbox would take the game that everyone loved and just shit on it because they don't exactly have the greatest reputation. However, let me tell you that that is absolutely the case because what the fuck. There's a lot that I want to go over, so what better way to start this off than a good old-fashioned item tier list. This item gives you a 7.5% chance to knock an enemy into the air when you hit them. This sounds incredibly useful. Let's knock it over into F tier. This item decreases your damage by 20% when you're below 50% health. Considering I'm either just dead or running for my life when my health is that low, this also sounds incredibly useful. F tier. Ooh, this one looks kinda cool. I wonder what it does. Oh. C tier. But only because I can see it maybe being used if you stack them. Finally, we get another on-kill item, which means it's good with Forgive Me Please, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. Also, it makes Mithrix invincible when he steals it. Yippee. It sounds like this splits the damage between you and the enemy, but nope. It just means that when you get hit, you'll take half the damage, and then like 3 seconds later, you take the other half. It's perfect to turn into scrap because they do the exact same thing. F tier. This one just uses a lot of words to tell you that it's a gray item. D tier. What's better than one item? 2 items. S tier. I really want to like this because I really love gambling, but god is it just so not useful. D tier. This is just more damage, but in a more complicated way. Boring. C tier. This stores extra stats, but you can't have them until you scrap it, I guess. That just sounds like a more complicated way to put it into D tier and just get Brittle Crown instead. This item makes you explode and teleport away at low health. Me after Taco Bell, am I right, guys? B tier. When a large monster is killed, it will always drop an item, and all elites have a 4% chance of dropping an item, which actually sounds kinda cool. Plus, the more you loop, the more big monsters you fight, which means more items. A tier. To me, this sounds like Irradiant Pearls, but easier to get. A tier. This one looks sick. Is it good? I don't know, but it looks sick. S tier. Chance to drop giant rock from sky. S tier. This item gives you the gold equivalent of 3 small chests at the start of the stage. I don't know if you heard me correctly, so let me repeat that. This item gives you the gold equivalent of 3 small chests at the start of the stage. This is basically Dio's best friend, but you can also revive a friend, and it's still useful after you revive. Oh, and it's an equipment. S tier. All your gold is automatically converted into experience whenever you level up, and it gives you a free chest unlock when this happens. Definitely a good item to pair with Brittle Crown. B tier. Alright, that's all of the items. The reds are good, the new equipment is broken, and the lunar item is pretty solid, but other than the sales star, there's a lot of steamy hot ass. Overall, I'd give it like a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Next up, we've got the monsters. The last DLC added 11 new enemies. This one added 3. The first enemy is the child, which I get. There's the grandparent and the parent, so logically there should be a child. But it doesn't do anything other than just teleport and run around. I know Drake's somewhere celebrating though. The next enemy is the Scorchworm. This one is also kind of just there. Like most of the monsters in the game, it's kind of annoying, but at least it's not as bad as the rat and the pest from the last DLC because those things are unbearable. One thing to note, this bubble isn't a war banner or the voodoo doll or anything like that. It's from the worm and it fucking chunks. So don't make that mistake. The final enemy is Halcyonite, and this one's actually kind of sick. He has a cool design, and his attacks are unique and new, other than the fact that he breaks sometimes. Good character though. Before I give this section a score, the last DLC introduced 2 new elites, and lucky for us, we got 2 more. Yay, more elites. The first of the 2 is Gilded, which, if you haven't guessed yet, means it's covered in gold. However, if you think you get more gold from this thing, you would be wrong, because it actually takes your gold, but only when the shield is up, so just shoot it when the shield is down, right? Well, if you have things like Bleed or AoE attacking it, then the shield goes up, say goodbye to your gold because it is disappearing. The other elite type is Twisted, and all I can genuinely say is, what the actual fuck? Twisted types have 13 times the health and do 10 times the damage of a normal enemy, which is fine, I guess, just don't get hit by them. But they also have a force field that gives every enemy inside of it a razor wire effect, which means that if you hit an enemy inside the bubble, it does damage back to you. So now imagine a Twisted Beetle sitting in the middle of 3 fat-ass beetle queens surrounded by a bunch of other enemies. What the fuck are you supposed to do? You can't shoot anything without fucking dying because nothing moves and they're all just posted up inside the bubble. Malachite, my previously favorite elite, punishes you for playing bad. Twisted punishes you for buying the DLC. Oh, and that's not all. Ever since I got this DLC, it's felt like this game has gotten so much harder. I know I'm not great at this game, but I'm sure as hell not bad enough that I should be dying on drizzle runs. Well, it turns out that tier 1 elites cost 3.5 credits to spawn instead of 6, which means that past stage 2, the number of elites that spawn is double. Double! There is a bug in this DLC that makes blazing, glacial, overloading, bending, and gilded elites spawn twice as much as normal. That is absurd. How am I supposed to kill a boss when as soon as I start the teleporter, a bunch of mending elites spawn and continuously heal it? Also, this one was healing the boss through the ground. Oh my god, the fucking healing through the ground is crazy. Bro, what? I feel like that's not supposed to happen. Like, what are we doing? I was going to give the enemies a 2, but now they get a 1. Next up, we've got the new environments. My least favorite of the bunch is Treeborn Colony. Visually, it's just kind of boring. It's small, there's not a lot going on, and like most of the new maps, it's so annoying to traverse if you don't have good movement. Next up is Prime Meridian. At first, I thought this one was sick, until meteors started falling on my head everywhere I went. This necessarily isn't a bad concept, but when they fall literally every step you take, and they predict your movement, it gets a little annoying. Also, if you don't have a character with good movement or you don't have a lot of movement items, you're kind of fucked. Also, it's just kind of bland. The void environments were so visually pleasing to look at. This is just kind of dull. My third favorite map is Shattered Abodes. This one's super cool and open, and it reminds me of the greatest landing spot ever created. My second favorite map is Reformed Altar. This is where you unlock Chef, which is pretty swag. I do wish something cooler happened when you unlock him, but whatever, that's too much work, I guess. Anyways, this place looks amazing. There's a ton of different nooks and crannies, a bunch of layers to it, and it's just all around cool. This and the next one are both definitely top 5 environments for sure. And of course, my favorite map in this DLC is Helmeth Hatchery. I don't even care that this one is so vertical, because it's just so cool. I love the little zoomy tunnels, the magma worm carcass, the colors, and just how complex it is. There's just so much going on, and I love it. Overall, the environments are pretty sick. They are just 5 more places to learn the new altar locations, but other than that, most of them are amazing. 4 out of 5. I did, however, forget to mention one part of the new environments, and that is of course the new boss in Prime Meridian, the False Sun. I know that a boss fight is supposed to be hard, but goddamn, is this not fun at all. The first stage is fine, it's cool, sets the stage, and it's pretty easy, yippee. But in the second stage, he gets a lock-on laser. Very creative, guys. And this would be fine. There were a lot of places to hide behind, but when there's only 3 tiny-ass pillars and a couple small crystals, what the fuck are you supposed to do? You can't just stand behind them because you have to worry about the golems that spawn. But if you move, you just get murdered by the death beam. No! Oh my god. Fuck this. And if you're nowhere near cover when he starts his beam, you're just fucked. And if you somehow make it to the final stage, good luck, because now you can't use any of your abilities. If you want them back, you have to go break the pillars. But to break the pillars, you have to leave your cover. And guess what? He still has the lock-on death ray. So have fun trying to go get them without any of your movement abilities. All of this pretty much means that you have to rely heavily on movement items to get to cover, get to the pillars, and to avoid his attacks. But when the DLC adds 16 more items that don't increase your movement at all, it just further decreases the chances of you finding any movement items in the run. They added 3 maps that require some decent movement to navigate comfortably, and a boss fight where you need to have good movement items, and then decrease the chances of you finding them. Thanks, Gearbox. And back to the boss fight, you can argue that I'm just bad, and if I was actually good, I wouldn't need to rely on the character's abilities to beat the boss. But isn't that the point of the game? The uniqueness of each character is what makes the game fun, and taking away everything that makes them unique makes the game not fun. If the False Sun was really hard but had cool attacks, I would be fine with that. But he doesn't have cool attacks. Gearbox didn't want to take the time to code a hard boss fight, so instead they gave him a lock-on death ray and took away the character's abilities so they could make it seem like the boss was super skilled and powerful, but in reality they were just too lazy to give him any actual combat skills. And the thought of having to beat him 13 times to unlock the new skins genuinely makes me want to kill myself. 0.0 out of 5. On a more positive note, let's talk about the new survivors. The survivor you automatically get with the new DLC is Seeker. His stats are honestly pretty stinky, and he does like no damage, but his abilities are so sick. Orb, goop, giant fist through the ground. Fortnite, guitar, hero. I don't care that he's not good. This is my new favorite character. The next survivor is Chef. I was kind of confused as to why a slug was one of the ingredients to unlock him, but now it makes sense because he's just about as useful as one. He sure has not a lot of health for someone who has to be right next to the enemies to really do anything at all. But I can forgive him for being bad because he's silly looking, and his special ability is gooping on things and then setting them on fire, just like me. The final survivor is the False Sun. He's definitely the best of the three in terms of actually being good at the game, but I'm still salty from all the times I've died to him, so I will not be using him. Overall, I like all the characters. I don't really care if they're bad or not because I'm bad anyway. Whoever I play, I'm gonna die. So all that matters to me is that they look cool and do cool things. 4 out of 5. Finally, all that's left to go over is just all the small random stuff. They added a bunch of new skins, which is super cool, but if you couldn't tell, I'm not even close to unlocking them all right now, so I'll probably just do another video where I rank every skin in the game. So for now, I'm just gonna assume that they all look good. The 2 shrines that they added are also pretty decent. The Shrine of Shaping seems kinda OP because it gives you another life, but I'm not gonna complain about that. I'll take a free life in this DLC any day of the week. The other one is the Halcyon Shrine. I like how you can charge it up to get more items, so it doesn't feel like a complete waste of all your gold. And we already talked about Halcyonite, but he's a really cool addition, and I like the concept of adding a different pathway to get to Mithrix. So overall, the shrines get the Mishik certified stamp of approval. The new artifact isn't anything special, but it's unique, which is something this DLC lacks, so I approve. Plus, with how hard this DLC is, you're definitely gonna need that extra item, as long as it's something a little better than a busting fungus.
Oh, you can put items in, it'll replace them with something, and then you can like activate it once you're back on the normal place.
Okay.
I'll test it with fungus.
Okay.
Oh wait, what?
Artifact is now available, experience rebirth. So if we use that, we get your item?
No, I don't know what that. I think we could have looped there if I went through the green.
Oh.
Well, the green portal didn't show up. Oh wait, yeah. Wait, what? What was the artifact you just got?
Risk of
Rebirth.
pain.
Descend to Petra with gifts from a previous life.
Risk of rain? More like
Oh,
risk of
shoot.
lame.
Should we put it on?
Yeah. So like, so John, when I hover over it, it shows bustling fungus.
Yeah, it shows it for me too.
Okay, yeah. So you do want to put a good item in there instead of a bad one.
Instead of busting fungus.
If I had put like a red item, you'd have had a
Risk of
red right off the bat.
Bro just
Had
went.
too much fame.
I don't know. Should we go medium
Couldn't deal with
this
the
time?
pain.
Sure.
Couldn't deal with the pain.
Y'all need to shut the fuck up.
John, shut your fucking squiggly diggly
Goofy
fucking
ass.
dumbass. Yo, you need to sit the fuck.
And finally, we can't talk about Risk of Rain without talking about the music. There are 2 guarantees in this life. You liking this video, and Chris dropping the greatest piece of music to ever touch your ears. This DLC may not be worth $15, but his music sure is. So if you're gonna buy it for that. I was going to give this section like a 3.5 out of 5, but then I remembered one more thing that they added. Bugs. Actually, right when I was finishing this script, they fixed most of the bugs. However, that doesn't discredit the miserable week I had with them when the DLC dropped. But hey, it's a step in the right direction, I guess. Overall, I'm feeling a light to decent 2 on this thing. Fuck you, Gearbox.